don't care. Get your coins how you get your coins. And I do mean that, by the way. Get your coins how you get your coins, as long as, you're safe.
Consensual.
And it's consensual.
Sex
get your coins.
work. That's
Girl, get your coins. So, you know what? That is one of those things that I think about. Sex with someone you really love, even that sometimes is work. Because sometimes the bitch is tired.
Girl.
But sex with someone you don't even like, girl, that's work. That is a straight up job.
You have sex with literally a different person every single day, and it would be fine. But the fact that you get paid for it is the crime. It's just like, what?
That never has made sense to me either. It's like, so you could go wherever you pick up men's or women's or whoever. People's.
Human.
The people's. The people.
Humans.
And sleep with all of them. Nobody cares.
No.
As soon as cash changes hands, then it's a problem.
Scandal.
Why?
And
how is it different than if you are with someone who is paying your rent or who is buying you a car? Or it's the same. Whether that be your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your whatever.
Sugar daddy.
It's all the same.
I agree with
Who
you.
cares?
I know. But it's like,
Again,
well, you're not paying taxes, so you're not following.
Is that the problem?
I don't know. Partly, also, it's immoral, allegedly. But again, you can sleep with literally everybody and not get paid for it. And everyone's like, okay, well, she's just a loose woman. You know what I mean?
But then you give them $20, and then it's like,
trash. Yeah. Pulling girl, they're all, burn her to the ground.
All right. Listen, on that note, again, she's burning people to the ground. God, Annika, can we not go a minute without burning somebody down? We're going to take a break. And we are back.
Actually, on to mental health.
I know we're going to talk about mental health. So I know for me personally, growing up the way that I did, mental health was a huge thing. Because, growing up, I talk about this I was bullied every single day of my growing up years. I didn't go to school a single day without being bullied. Part of that, I think, is being in the country. Part of it is being the era that it was. Part of it really is that whole parents going, oh, kids are just being kids nonsense. Yep. But that sticks and stones nonsense is indeed nonsense because it does do so much damage.
Yep.
Those words stick with you. If you hit me, I'll remember it, but I'm not going to be probably traumatized by it. It's like not as someone in a relationship with, but like a bully at school. Yeah. If they hit me, I'm going to be pissed. Yeah. I'm going to be hurt.
I'm probably going to cry in front of them.
Probably going to cry, but I'm not going to have any emotional permanent damage of that. Yeah. You tell me that I'm fat and gross and ugly and whatever on a daily basis. Of course, I believe it. And so words do carry so much weight, and they do so much damage. And that's one of the things that, for years I've heard people just say, they're just words. Words can't hurt you. Oh my God. What a pile of crap. Well, of course they can hurt you.
Well, that's the thing too, when parents and adults like to say, everybody gets bullied. It's different though, Betty Sue, that you're getting bullied for having braces. That's something everyone gets. Do you know what I mean? Or glasses. That's something people, yes, it still sucks. But being queer, being a person of color, being the other child and being bullied by everybody else is different than the popular girls thinking you look like trash. Do you know what I mean? There's a difference in bullying when it is, again, everyday, chronic, hard, severe bullying opposed to, look at Betty. She looks dumb today. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, your hair is a disaster.
Right, exactly. It is not the same.
No.
Exactly. And so for me too, growing up, because also grew up in Carleton, very small town, I had a very traumatizing childhood. But from a very young age, I was called into the guidance counselor's office every week when I was in school, just to check in, because people knew.
Oh, right.
People knew my family. People knew what was happening. This is my beef child. Is all this shit was happening and no one did anything. The school was like, okay, well, you're okay enough to come to school and you're not that broken, so we're not going to...
I love that. You're not that broken.
Right, exactly. But, I was in therapy from a very young age as well, because I had severe mental health issues. I'm 8 years old, had suicidal ideations, right? And I had an ulcer when I was also 8, 9, to the point where I had to like start taking medication for it. I was a very anxious, worried, paranoid child. And so like also I remember grandma, because I lived with her for so much of that, she used to buy me worry stones that were,
I remember that.
like just a stone with a groove cut out, so you rubbed it with your thumb and it was supposed to be soothing. That, and then she also got me a little satin bag and filled it with confetti that you got at like the party store or Walmart or whatever. Shiny confetti, right? And it was based on the movie Hook, right?
Right, your happy thoughts.
My happy thoughts. So she was like, anytime you're feeling like overwhelmed or sad or whatever, just take some out and throw them, and you'll feel better. And I did. And one thing that I love about that, she told like every adult, like, don't you dare clean this up. You know what I mean? Like, this is her happy thoughts. Like, you let her do her thing. And that's what I love. But it took a lot, and even just as like a fragile child, for me just to feel like okay, just because of all this shit, you know? So I didn't realize until I probably was like a teenager, young adult, that it was what was happening and how much trauma it was, and actually focusing on mental health and figuring out what that looked like, you know? But it's a process, and therapy and seeking out professionals is no joke. Like, you should do it. Everyone should do it. I think everyone should talk to somebody. But it's scary. Life can be scary, and especially when you're a child and shit was thrown at you that should never have been thrown at you, and you have to learn to survive all of that and then somehow be an adult.
Well, and especially when so much of it is minimalized.
Right, exactly.
So much of it you're just told to suck it up.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that we then grow up really believing, it's me.
Yep.
I'm the problem. I'm the one who's making a problem out of nothing. I need to suck it up. I need to be tough. I need to, whatever it is. And it's like, no, I am not the problem. I mean, I probably am a problem, but I'm not the problem, because I'm sorry, other people are doing damage to me, and I'm supposed to then take all that on and be like, okay, well, I guess I just need to grow up or whatever. And you know what? I'm going to sidestep just a second here, because you know how every week you ask for hate mail.
Oh my god!
This is actually titled "More Hate Mail for Annika." First time writer, long time listener, long time ish. I love it. We've been on for a couple months. Got a bone to pick with Annika. I did not like something she said, and I strongly disagree.
Oh my god! Yes.
She talked about how her egg donor said she didn't like who Annika was turning into, and Annika said maybe if she stuck around, I'd have turned out better. No, girl, you are spectacular as you are. Don't imply my niece would be better again, or we are going to have some words. Love your guts, Auntie Alicia. So, but, that I put that in there specifically because, again, it has so much to do with your mental health. The fact that your mother abandoned you at a young age. Your father then virtually abandoned you. I mean, he was physically there, but that's
he was physically there, girl.
But he was physically abusive. But he was
detached.
With any woman who'd come along, it was like, okay, she's next. Here's your new mom. Whatever. And it's like, well, no, I had a mom, and I actually liked her,
and
she's gone.
Yeah, I would ask, like, where is she? Find her. I was a child, right? And all the time he would just say shit like, I don't know, I can't find her. And then, like, the times he would show up and say, like, well, I found her, and she said she doesn't want to see you anymore. As a child, like, I can imagine saying such hateful things to a child, you know what I mean? That's a whole other story. So, like, mental health, girl, is very important. And, like, it stems from a lot of things. One of my friends posted this recently on her social media. Megan, I love you. And she was talking about how people say things like, oh, I like to clean a lot, I have OCD, or, oh, this was a hard time, I'm traumatized, or, you know what I mean? Yes. Or like, oh, I hyperfocus, I have ADHD. Like, quit using mental health diagnoses for your clout, I don't know, for your benefit, to sound like, I don't know, to sound cooler. I don't know why people do it. Like, oh my god, I'm cleaning so much, I must have OCD. Like, no, girl, you're just cleaning. Like, shut up, Martha.
Maybe your house is dirty.
Yeah, girl, shut up. Like, no one cares. Or, like, because they're real things. And being ADHD, being autistic, those are, like, neurodivergences. Those are different. And your brain is, neural pathways are connected differently. So it's not, like, something you just happen to fall into, right? So it just, that I get is very frustrating. And I talk about this with my partner often, about how everyone is traumatized now, and I get it. The past few years, 5 years, have been
Very
awful.
traumatic.
But it is interesting to me that like literally every single person will openly talk about how they're traumatized now. And I remember being a kid and never speaking about it, being like, no, I'm not. It's because
I am fine, thank you very much.
It's masking, girl. Masking everything you're feeling, which is important. I mean, people with autism do it a lot just so they can, seem quote unquote normal within heteronormativity and like the normalcy of the world. But it's just like making sure that your habits or the parts of your diagnosis or your mental health, you seem quote unquote regular to function in society. Yeah. So you don't seem depressed or anxious or paranoid. Or if you do feel that way, you hide it. You know what I mean? You pretend.
Right.
And that's exhausting.
Well, and people who do have real diagnoses often self-medicate so they can feel normal. Yep. Whether that's drinking, drugging, whatever. Yep. It's like they'll do whatever it takes to feel as normal as possible. And then and I think the public really got a big dose of this with Charlie Sheen. Because remember when for the first time in his life, he wasn't drinking and drugging. Yeah. And his mental health issues came out sideways, and he made all those crazy, and everybody made such big jokes about him. It's like, I get that it's funny when he said he has tiger blood or whatever it was.
And he kept going, winning.
Yeah, right. It is and it isn't, because clearly his mental health issues were finally showing through, and then he could get help.
Right. And I feel like here's the fine line, right? It would be funny if his mental health was taken care of and he was playing a character. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he was being like zany and strange and weird and like saying crazy things and he was playing a character. Same thing with like Amanda Bynes, Kanye West, pick a bitch and hold
right.
On. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Because I know with Amanda Bynes, before she was diagnosed with her mental health issues, she lost her stuff on social media, and it became such a circus, and everybody was just like, oh, ha ha ha, she's this crazy beezy who's like saying all this nonsense and doing all this stuff and telling Cher she's ugly, and
but baby girl's struggling.
But she clearly needed help.
Yeah, she just needed.
And speaking of which, she just was released from her conservatorship.
I know, good for her.
Because she seems to be on the mend. She seems to have things in check, and good for you, Amanda Bynes.
Good for you, girl. I mentioned Kanye West, and this is one thing I don't care about the Wests, the Kardashians, the Jenners. I don't give a shit at all. What I will say is Kanye West is in headlines all the time.
Yes.
For everything. And there's a lot of shit that is talked about him. And I get it. Boy says some shit that is crazy, right? Really off the wall. Lots of shit is misogynistic, and then he talks about how he's like Jesus, and on and on and on. Right? So like, okay. But you have mental health issues. This is known, right? I kind of refuse to be a part of the conversation about how he acts, right? Or the things that he's done. I think, sure, a lot of it is problematic, and I choose to not support him, but I also understand that he is clearly going through it and needs assistance, right? Like, I don't think it's appropriate or fair to judge somebody or pop off about how they are acting when it's clearly mental health issues.
Right.
He's not just being a crazy asshole. He's not just like, and maybe that is partly personality, but he clearly needs to change medication, get back on medication, talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, something needs to happen.
Yes.
And so, again, I just don't like the conversations where it's like, he's just like such a piece of shit. I don't like him either. But I'm also not.
That aside. Well, I know, and one of the things, I don't, again, like you, I don't care to keep up with the Kardashians. I don't care anything about any of them and their fantastic plastic faces and all of the whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
However, I am going to say I've been kind of impressed with Kim, because with all this Kanye stuff going on, she has not piled on.
Nope.
And she has said, no matter what happens, we are co-parents to these children, and I will support him, and I will support his choices and whatever, and be as supportive as I can be.
Yeah.
And as opposed to going, oh yeah, he's crazy, and try to. She could have very easily used his mental health to get full custody of those children. but she didn't.
No.
And so I appreciate that. And
Because just imagine though, all those stereotypes that would come with it.
Yeah.
You know, like a black man not raising his children, like
Right.
that again.
Right.
Like,
right.
so that is, I mean, not that she needs to be the savior or anything.
No,
Not
but
that she's a
listen,
real person.
but listen, Linda. As soon as here's where she then lost all of her points with me.
Okay.